Hi, welcome to Miss Richardson's U.S. History 5-minute lectures. This information will be U.S. Notes 1.4, Workers in the Progressive Era. It includes information that is aligned with the first section of your study guide. Now remember that you control the lecture. Pause the video if you need, write down any questions you have and bring them to class, and rewatch as often as you need to. And of course, use your study guide. It will help you take notes. Let's go ahead and get started. At this point, I've told you about industrialization and big business, so you may be wondering about the people who worked for the factories and the businesses, and that's what I want to tell you about today. Now, I do want to take a second and point out workers in the cities are just some of the workers in America during the Progressive Era. There are still many more people working in many more places, in rural areas, on farms, in small towns, that are not involved with the issues that we are looking at. They, particularly farmers, did face their own issues, but they aren't going to be the focus for this unit. There were others who did face these types of issues working in mining and construction outside of cities, but we'll focus specifically on the cities in this unit. So, if we're going to focus on these workers in the cities, who were they? Why were they working for low pay in such dangerous conditions? Well, first, workers were coming to the cities from many different areas with many different backgrounds. There were farmers and children of farmers who wanted to move to the cities to experience excitement, the glamour of city life, and all it had to offer. They wanted better pay, access to entertainment, and those sorts of things that you could only find in cities. They thought that working in a factory would be better pay for less work and less hours than working on a farm. Others were immigrants from around the world, lured to American cities with promises of plentiful jobs. Many of these immigrants did not speak English, but had heard stories of the wonders of America. And since many of these immigrants came from very poor countries, the wages seemed really high. Unfortunately, costs in America were also unbelievably high. Cities also had a large number of African Americans working in factories and coming to the cities. They were moving from the South after the Civil War. The choices for free slaves were to either continue to work the land they had before, but now as sharecroppers, or to move to cities in the North and get away from the former slave owners and from prejudice. These African Americans had no money, few skills, and were usually illiterate, and they found prejudice was just as rampant in the North as in the South. So you can see that most of the workers were actually poor, unskilled, and minorities. Because of their ignorance of the cost of living in American cities, they were hired for very low wages that actually could not support a family in the city. If a man could work 10 to 12 hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, and still not have enough money to house and feed his family, what could he do? Well, if that didn't feed your family, what could you do? Well, he could let his wife and children take jobs in factories. While certain jobs required the strength of a full-grown man, children were small and could fit into places adults could not. When machinery got jammed, a child could reach their hand into the space others could not and pull the jam out. In addition, children were paid much less than adults for a day's work. This was really a win-win situation for the factory owners. So many young children, some even as young as 5 or 6, went to work to help feed their families. Women also began working during this time to help feed their families. With the technological advancements, many of the machines in factories were very easy to operate, regardless of someone's size or strength. Women were also paid less than men, so again, this was a benefit to the owners. So now you have a list of who the workers were and why they were working. Most had no other choice, and when they complained about pay or conditions, they were very easy to replace, which we'll actually look at in the next few sets of notes. So this actually is the end of Notes 1.4. I hope you learned something from the 5-minute lecture, and I will see you in class with any questions you have.